after that, like it took off. We started doing like $2 million a month. This is back in like 2000. And we started running ads and like, it's funny because it's always been setbacks, right? So, I mean, we were crushing it with the diet patch. So we ended up getting shut down by the FTC. I get raided by like the US Marshals that come into my office. They take all my computers, all the inventory, they freeze my bank accounts. I'm like, fuck.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ringba, the #1 call tracking platform. If you haven't already, make sure to get the pay-per-call revolution if you want to learn what all the excitement is about pay-per-call. What's going on, everyone? I have a very special guest coming to you from Medellin, Colombia. This is Carlos, the Godfather of Traffic. Thank you for joining me, my man.
Thank you.
This is one of the original affiliates from the space. You've been doing this since the late 90s, right?
99.
Cool.
1999.
How'd you first get started doing affiliate marketing? What was like your first campaign?
It's a funny story because before I even got into the internet, I was already doing direct response. I was actually a cable TV installer before I even got into the game. And people used to ask me for those descrambler boxes to get all the channels. And I figured out how to get them, started selling them, and then before you know it, I'm supplying all the installers whenever there was a big fight. I drive around Chicago, you know, dropping these things off. I'd make like $3,000 in one day, more than I'd made the whole month.
Working an actual job, yeah. It's crazy, man.
And then I always wanted to start like a mail order business. It was always a dream of mine. One day I'm laying in bed, I see an infomercial, Don Lapre, how to make millions out of your one-bedroom apartment running classified ads. So a light bulb goes, I was like, hey, I should run ads for this. So I started running ads. And phone calls start coming in, and we start shipping these. And then...
It's for that same, the scrambler?
Yeah, for the same scrambler. I started doing mail order with it. And then I'm like, hey, this is working. So then I started advertising in like all the major magazines, the car magazines, the adult magazines. And whenever they'd call me, hey, where did you see our ad? So I was like tracking. At the end of the month, I'd count how many sales did we get, what did I pay for the ad. So we were figuring out our CPA back then. And then the internet came along, and I'm like, wow, this is another good channel. Like, I was super excited. I built a website. I put my whole catalog on the website. But to my surprise, I'm not getting any traffic. And that's when I figured out, like, I got to learn this traffic thing. And I started just playing around with other ways of driving traffic. I ended up going to a conference in Boulder back in the Corey Rudo days.
And you were in Chicago?
Yeah, at that time I was in Chicago, yeah. So I go to this conference and I meet some people that are doing like media buys and buying traffic, buying banner ads. I'm like, this looks amazing. Took basically my life savings, hired someone to come over a weekend and show me how to do media buys. And man, like after that, like it took off. We started doing like $2 million a month with that campaign. And this is back in like 2000. And we started running ads on like MP3 sites. Super cheap CPMs. I'm paying like 25-cent CPMs. And I mean, people wanted free music. Of course, they wanted free TV too. So yeah, that was my introduction into media buying and into the internet. Yeah.
So you had a unique offer, a new offer, more or less like a newer offer.
Yeah.
And then you also had insanely inexpensive traffic.
Yes.
Early.
Yes. Early.
All the perfect storm.
Early, right. And buying directly from publishers. You know, like, I mean, we were buying from MSN, Yahoo, like. Homepage banners, everything, and just driving like crazy amounts of traffic. Yeah. So
this was early 2000s. Where did you go from there?
So that business, we ran it for about 3 years. Eventually, it became where it wasn't profitable because a lot of the cable companies went digital, and I had some legal challenges too. Like, even though it wasn't illegal to buy and sell them, it was kind of like a gray market area.
It's like IPTV almost today.
Yeah, like so you can legally buy your own equipment. But you're not supposed to hook it up and get the free TV. But I mean, everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we're crazy. One day, like, I get raided by like the US Marshals that come into my office. Like, they take all my computers, all the inventory. They freeze my bank accounts. So I'm like, fuck. And it's crazy because the attorney that was representing them, he walks me over to the side and he's like, hey, cut me a check right now for $250K, and we'll go away. You can keep doing business, and you just sign an agreement you won't sell to our customers. And I was like, well, let's talk to my attorney, you know, and like...
You weren't ready to walk away.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, let's see what happens. And we end up going to the first, court hearing. like 6 attorneys on their side, all suited up. And they're like, Your Honor, we've discovered the biggest pirate in the U.S., blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is not going to go good. So, and then I was almost down for like a month, and I was hurting, I was itching. So I ended up deciding to settle with them. And originally they wanted $250. I settled for $150, $25K a month for 6 months was the deal.
Not bad at all.
And I was like, hey, I'll be back in business, get going again. And yeah, we get back up, phones are ringing, we start shipping again. But then 6 months later, he came back representing a different cable company. And I remember that time I was like, bro, I'm not going to be, I mean, I don't know what we can say or not, but I'm not going to be a bitch. Like, you're not going to be my pimp.
Yeah.
This time, I mean, you're not getting anything out of me. I mean, I'll bankrupt it. And I did. I bankrupted the company, bankrupted me personally. But then I'm like, you know what? Like, there's got a way to do this. I see the casino guys doing it, right? So I ended up flying to Costa Rica to meet with some casino guys. I ended up meeting someone that ends up becoming my partner. So he became the advertiser, I became the agency, and we were back up and running again. And this time they couldn't shut it down. So we ran that for like 3 years, and then after that, I'm like, all right, what's next? I learned media buying. I learned conversion and traffic. So I just started split testing a bunch of different products. I was actually running pop-up ads, and I'd have like different products in each pop-up, HTML pop-ups.
Like e-commerce.
Yeah. And basically, I let the market pick the product. It ended up being a product that I saw on TV, which is a diet patch. I'm like, I think that could be a great product online. And sure enough. And that, we launched it, and like within 6 months, we were doing like $5 million a month in sales with that one, yeah. Just fucking destroying selling diet patches, yeah.
Much bigger margins than selling hardware.
Yeah, I mean, we started bringing them in from China. It was costing us like $2 or $3 for the pack, and I was marketing it as a 3-month supply, $159. So huge margins.
It's like early Nutra.
Yeah, early Nutra, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And this was early like 2010s.
Yeah, this was like middle of 2000, 2005, 2008, yeah.
Still like MySpace days.
Yeah. We used to buy a lot of traffic from MySpace.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then did you transition into, I guess at this point, like the affiliate summits, affiliate world probably wasn't around then. Affiliate summits were kind of like developing those.
It used to be a cruise, affiliate cruise before it was
affiliate cruise. Yeah. That sounds way more fun, actually.
Yeah. Whenever we went to this cruise, and they didn't even have a networking event. And me and a bunch of friends were like, man, we should like throw a party. And we like, one of the days, instead of going to the conferences, because like we're like buying traffic, doing all kinds of shit, and we're teaching like basic stuff. So we decided to throw this party, and we made flyers. We passed them around, and we ended up throwing this massive party the last night. It was awesome. But made, friends that I'm still friends with today in the industry, right? And those were like the early beginnings. Missy used to be like an assistant in that cruise, and then she ended up taking over, and she launched Affiliate Summit. So yeah. Like the early days, it was just like funny. It was a handful of people. Now there's like thousands of people.
Yeah, and then the people in it were making stupid returns.
Yeah,
right. It's like disproportional returns.
Yeah.
Like the pioneers.
Yeah, the pioneers. Yeah, man. Because like we were the first ones, kind of like buying traffic, right? So there wasn't that much competition like there is now. Yeah.
When going into the 2010s, coming up to 2020, that decade. What were you focused on then as it became more like mainstream that you
it's always
buy
been,
Facebook and Google?
It's funny because it's always been setbacks, right? So, we were crushing it with the diet patch.
So the setback that came with the diet industry, what happened from there?
Yeah, so we ended up getting shut down by the FTC. And, but like everything's been lessons, right? Like the more I reflect, it's like every setback has been a bounce back, right? It's like, if it wasn't for those setbacks, I'd still be doing the same thing. So it kind of forced me to like figure out what's next. So then I'm like, all right, what's next? So then I decided to launch an agency focused on Nutra, which we did. And that's when people were doing a ton of volume with like the acai berry and colon cleanse.
Yeah, Dr. Oz.
Yep. Yeah. So it's funny because we started pushing that, and then I ended up creating a funnel where we push 2. We tell people, hey, you have to take 2. So we created the 2-step, which I know like had a bunch of ripple effects on the industry.
Yeah, everyone started doing it.
But back then it was great because like we'd only pay once. We would only we'd get 2 CPAs and we weren't getting charged for 2 CPAs, you know, so we were getting double and we were making a lot more with the media. So then what I decided, I'm like, all right, like I know the game, I know people get shut down, I know merchant accounts go down. So I ended up getting like 10 advertisers where we built the funnels, we do hooks and posts for them and just drive sales for them. And with that, I mean, we were able to do like some insane amount of volume. We're just fucking crushing it.
How'd you get the merchant accounts and keep them alive?
Well, with that, I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. That's why I decided I'm going to do the agency. I'm going to focus on the traffic.
Let them manage
Let them figure it out. And basically, they were like my merchant account, so I just send them traffic, all the advertisers, and rotate.
And they paid you.
Different advertisers.
So, yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And they were good at keeping their accounts alive.
They were good at keeping their accounts live, but I mean, everything like that worked for a few years. And then Visa and MasterCard decided to go after the travel industry, and like they shut everyone down. So I'm like, what the fuck now? You know, now I'm owed millions of dollars from these advertisers. They can't pay. So it's always been like a setback and like, what's next? You know, but that's been it's been a roller coaster. But I mean, I'd do it all over again. I mean, it's been so much fun, and I've learned so much. Yeah.
So fast forward to today. What are you focused on right now?
So right now, I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit of a personal story, but like 3 years ago, a friend of mine kept on telling me, "Hey, go get scanned. You know, you should go get scanned." I did the scan, and he had kind of like a health scare. One Saturday, I was kind of bored. I'm all right, let's go get checked. End up doing some tests, and I do some follow-ups. They do a diagnosis, and like doctors told me I've had like 3 years to live. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm like, bro.
How old were you then?
That was like, what's first one? 45, 44? 44, yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, what? So then, like, I just dropped everything, bro. Like, everything, literally, to just focus on my health. I went traveling, like, looking for therapies. I tried so many different things. And a few friends of mine's, like, I saw, like, they look like 10 years younger. They're, like, looking really fucking amazing. I'm like, bro. I remember one of my friends posted on Facebook. I'm like, bro, pass that shit. Like, what are you on? He's like, let's do a telegraph. So we jump on. He's like, yeah, bro, I'm doing these peptides. And it's fucking, I've been doing it for a year. Like, the guy looked like 10 years younger, literally. And I'm like, bro, like, whatever you're doing, like, I want to do. So I ended up getting on peptides. And, bro, like, I ended up losing, like, 77 pounds, like, in 6 months. If I look at my before and after pictures, and I'll show it to you, you can show it here. Like,
it's crazy.
Bro, I look like 10 years younger. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is this, you know? So I decided, like, to go all in on, you know, peptides and basically build, like, the infrastructure, because I see, like, the numbers, the power, and like, this is, like, in Nutra, this is, like, a wet dream, right? Like
it's a real
thing. The product actually really works, and, like,
doesn't require a ton of work.
Exactly, and once people are on it, they become believers, and, like, they're on forever, bro. The LTVs are, like, ridiculous, right? And I'm like everything that's happened, like, this is, like, my purpose, right? Like, I'm going all in on peptides. So yeah, so I built, like, the entire infrastructure to be able to get people that want to get into peptides and, like, actually want to help people, like, and make a lot more money.
Of course.
Why not, right? If we were given that gift. So yeah, that's like one of my main projects that I've been working on. Yeah.
What other setbacks or challenges did you face the last 10, specifically, like, let's say 10 years? And what are some of the lessons from those challenges as an affiliate marketer that you could share with people just getting into the game or that are already in it?
Yeah, I would say, like, some of the biggest lessons, well, when I had, like, that setback, right, like, with the health, at that time, like, it was almost like everything came at once, you know? So my marriage, I had just bought a new Tesla and I fucking totaled it. I had gone all in on crypto, and then the crypto market crashed. So, like, everything that could go wrong, like, went wrong. Like,
it's like a downward spiral.
Yeah, it was like everything that I thought that meant something in my life, like, got taken away, right? It was just like, right? And I was like, fuck, now what, right? And I remember, like, I talking to God, because I believe in God. I'm like, God, like, you know, I'm a strong soldier, but, like, everything at one time, like, this is a lot, you know? But what I learned so many lessons. I created, like, a set of core values for myself, because I thought, I mean, billion-dollar companies, like, thrive out of, you know, having core values. Why not have core values for myself? And since I started doing better with my health, and like I was like, if I was given a second chance of life, like what would I do different, right? So I created my core values. One is health. So like, if anything interferes with my health, like, I mean, I've been offered like sometimes some very irresistible, and I'm like, but no, it's going to take up a lot of my time. It's going to distract me. Like, I can't take away my health, right? Second, I mean, coming from America and coming to Medellin, I mean, in the US, I mean, like my monthly base it was like 20 grand. I have to make 20 grand just to fucking pay the bills, right? And sometimes, yeah, money's coming in, but sometimes it's not, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. But then I came here, bro, and like here the cost of living is like nothing, right? Like I went from like a big fucking mansion and the cars and everything to a really basic like 2-bedroom, right? Like, and I was like, I learned like the value of freedom, right? Like not being trapped
Tied down
by the matrix, right?
Yeah.
By the fucking matrix, right? Like, so I made that commitment, like freedom, like anything that's gonna take away my freedom, like I gotta be really intentional, right? And then I was thinking, all right, well, money's important, right? But then I was like, well, there's so many ways to make money, right? Like, so I ended up saying, creating. I love creating things, and especially things that like add value, right? So that's my number 3, creating. And then the relationships, that one's probably been the hardest. And it's crazy because I've even had to distance myself from like family and people that so they were supposedly my friends, but like when you fucking have everything and lose everything, you really see who's really
Different
there
crowd.
and who wasn't, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the blessings. So I'm like, all right, relationships. So maybe people that add, I was like, no, that's not enough. And I'm like, no, why don't I like people that like multiply, that together, like I add to them or they multiply me. So that's when I came up with this concept, multipliers. So people that multiply my life, that's my inner circle, right? Or people that I can multiply, their life. And just doing it that way, but it's been amazing, right? It's been like, but it's been hard, like I said, because there's been even family and stuff that I've had to like, just like, okay.
Distance, yeah.
I mean, I don't hate you and I love you and everything, but I just gotta keep my distance, right? Like, really important that my energy around me, especially going back to my health, like making sure that I have really positive vibes, really positive energy. So that's been one. And that's where the conference is one that I'm telling you, the Multipliers Mastermind. So that's what that's about, just bringing a bunch of multipliers together. Like, I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
You're doing that here, right?
Yeah, I'm doing that here in Medellin, yeah.
When is it?
January 17th to the 20th, yeah.
And who is that event for?
That event, so one of the biggest things that I did back early in the game is like, I was really into like the IM world, the copywriting world, and then I discovered the traffic world. And I did some conferences back in the day called Traffic University, Traffic Tactics, where I merged those worlds, and I just saw like what came out of it. It was beautiful. So this is the same thing. So I'm bringing a bunch of people that are like investors, AI, media buyers, affiliates, anybody involved in like technology, like just bringing everyone together. We'll be staying like in mansions together, like hanging out, masterminding. Because these are all like very high level, successful people, but in different areas. And I'm like, one of the lessons that you said is like, all right, it's a skill to make money, right? And that's what this industry allows us to do, to make money. But keeping that money, multiplying that money, right?
I think it's the hardest part for some
And
of the guys.
I remember I was young, bro, and I was like, just fuck. I thought that money coming forever. I'm spending it like crazy, you know, like, and like, fuck, I'm the shit, you know. Reality kicks in. It's like, hey, you have some setbacks, so you got to be ready for those setbacks. So like not only making the money, but multiplying it and making sure it's always there and it's always growing. It's, so I would say that's another one of the lessons. People that, so yeah, there's a lot of lessons that we're learning along the journey for sure. Yeah.
What do you hope comes from this event? Like, what are you hoping to create from this event by putting people together here in Medellin?
For me, it's about just really building that inner circle for myself, first of all, right? And for people to also build that inner circle. Like, my vision with it is just a community of multipliers where we can take the collective intelligence, the collective resources to multiply everything that matters in our life, right? So I'm bringing people that have made a big impact in my health, people that have made a big impact relationship-wise, right? Like, it's just bringing all these amazing people together. Because I've learned, like, I can do so much on my own, but like when I have other really awesome people around me, I can do a lot more, right? And I mean, I know me and you were just at a mastermind, and just like wow, like it's like there's so much so the information age, right? Like it's the information age right now. There's so much information, there's abundance of information, and we're blessed. But there's an abundance of it, right?
It's too much almost.
Too much, right? And it's like, fuck, where do I focus? It's just too much, right? So for me, it's like the recommendation age. It's like, if you already figure something out and it's already working for you, like, hey, I want to learn that. I want to know that, right? And if I already figured it out, I'm willing to share it. And having that scenario, right, where like we just learn a lot faster and learn from each other. And if you already found resources at work, or you already know someone, like boom, 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 right? It's like, yeah. So that's what it's about.
So if you could speak to someone, both someone new to the affiliate marketing space and then someone that's already been running affiliate offers for years, what's a specific piece of advice you would have for each one of those people?
Yeah. Someone new, I would say jump in. Don't overthink it. It's like riding a bike, right? Like you can like read all about riding a bike, but like until you ride a bike, you're not gonna learn, right? Jump in, surround yourself with as many smart people as you can, right? Like learn from people that are already doing it, that are already successful, that are already doing it. Because everyone has an opinion, but like opinions don't matter, right? Like what matters is experience. So people that are actually doing it already have the results. And dive in deep, right? Like dive in and don't give up. I think, persistence is one of the biggest things in this game, right? And because it's easy to give up. It's not easy sometimes. You're risking money. It can be very emotional. So you got to be like, have a formula, right? Like, okay, I'm going to test so much, but keep testing. And it's like baseball, right? Eventually you're going to hit it. When you're going to hit, fucking ride that motherfucker, right? Yeah. So I would say that for the new guys. For the guys that have been in the game, I mean, we all know this industry, right? It's like you hit it, a lot of money comes, the offer dies, and it's always like you're always chasing what's next, right? So taking that knowledge and building something sustainable, right? Something that's
building
long-term.
an offer.
Building like not even an offer, building like something that makes a difference, makes an impact. Because guess what? I mean, the same way we're driving traffic to offers, you can drive traffic to anything. And, it's the same skill set, right? So you can build really businesses, and I'm seeing people doing that now, right? Like, where they're building
just
real
at the
businesses.
conference,
Yeah,
like half the people there have their own sales floor, call center.
Yeah, and that's where like Peptide Empire is coming. It's like, you're building something that actually can be sold, can be acquired, can provide cash flow for a long time, right? If I'm already going to put all the effort and energy, like put it in something that's sustainable and long term. That would be my advice for people affiliates that have been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Something I've learned too, I've been doing this for 2-3 years. You meet a lot of different personality types, and it seems from what I see and experience, each personality type has their own natural like skill sets. That if it's like a spectrum, there's somewhere on that spectrum for each thing: biz dev, media buying, creative production, copywriting. What's a piece of advice you have to help people find what their more or less like superpower is within the spectrum of, because there's a lot of hats to wear. Yeah. Whether you're just running traffic or you're doing you're building your own offer business with traffic.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was at a mastermind earlier in the year with someone that does consulting only to billionaires. That's what caught my attention. So the difference between mindset of someone running $100 million company or a billion plus, and she coaches like the executive team of Google. And I was pretty impressed, right? So my ears were like open, right? And one of the big takeaways that I got for myself was knowing what my genius zone is and staying in my genius zone, right? And for me, I learned personally as I reflected and looked back, I'm like, man, I'm always like grinding, and I'm like, I'm gonna lead by example. And I've done that a lot of years, right? And I'm like, why am I doing that if I have teams or resources that can do that? And as I thought about it, I'm like, all right, I grew up Mexican culture, hardworking. I saw my parents work really hard in the restaurant, right? And it was almost like if I didn't work hard for the day, I didn't feel productive, right? So it was almost like a self thing.
Psychology.
Psychology thing, right? But once I realized that, I was like, no, I got to stay in my genius zone. What is my genius zone? I made a mind map with my genius zone, and it was only like 4 or 5 things, right? Like, I'm vision, right? I love AI, business development, creating strategic alliances, right? It was only like a few things, right? But none of it was actually production. None of it was actually doing the work. So I was like, fuck, from this day forward, right? Like, I'm not going to be involved with production at all, and I'm going to let my team just like handle all of that. And that's been massive, right?
Change your life.
Oh my God, yeah. And I'm like, so knowing what your genius zone is, because then that has, so we were talking about multiplying, that has a multiplying effect.
Yeah.
Right? And forcing yourself to do that, right? And so yeah, that's been a big takeaway. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think that right there, I mean, to implement that.
From what I've seen and experienced being in this space and other businesses too, is, but specifically the affiliate marketing space, because it is very commission driven. It's not like you could just get like a salary and float into something, right? Like every role in this space, more or less, unless you're like an admin, you're going to be highly incentivized in how you earn, right? Which naturally guides you to doing something that is going to produce. And I find it pretty interesting where a lot of people naturally fall into the role, like the people that have no interest in media buying and kind of like accept that it's not for them. They just don't do it, and they like laugh about it, right? They're very realistic about it. Could they learn it? Sure. Anyone could more or less learn any skill set to an extent.
Right.
And then the media buyers typically are, more reserved, more introverted. Like you take them to the affiliate summit stuff or affiliate world, and they like go out and party, but it's like just like 10 of them in the corner of the VIP section, not talking to anyone.
Yeah.
What for the people that aren't sure what their God-given gift is or their superpower is, what's a piece of advice you would have for them to find that and create that for themselves?
Yeah, I would say like feel the energy, feel the flow, right? And if it feels frustrating, if it feels heavy, then that's not it. If you lose yourself and you're like fucking hours, like, what the fuck? Where did time go? And you're just like, whoa.
It's the flow
That's
state.
Flow state, right? Now you know.
But everything also has challenges, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's like your zone of genius, you're still going to be hitting walls at some point doing the thing. So how do you differentiate between something hard within your zone of genius and something you probably should be hiring someone else to do?
Yeah. For myself, I mean, even if it's challenging, it's still fun, right? It's like, it still feels like, okay, I can do this. Like,
it's emotion.
It's almost like playing a video game. Like, this is fucking, I'm not, or if I'm playing a sport or something, right? Like it's, yes, it's challenging, but it's not, it doesn't feel frustrating. It doesn't feel heavy, right? Like there's a big difference. And what I found for myself is that flow state is super important. Like if I start feeling frustrated, I'll intentionally step away. I'll take a walk. Like, let me get 5 minutes. Let me center myself. Because I've learned like, if I'm operating out of that space, I'm only going to create more of that shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I got to get myself back to like, all right, creation, intention, right? Like I got to intentionally get myself into that flow. Yeah.
So let me ask you from my own perspective. Like I know I'm not naturally a media buyer, but I've become one out of choice and because I've always found it fascinating, but it does feel heavy sometimes for me because I know I'm not, like I learn it because I had to learn it.
Yeah.
Right. But I know I'm actually this is much more fun to just like talk and learn and like think about this than it is actually doing the media buying sometimes.
Yes.
So the question I have is, for example, with media buying, I've had media buyers, I have people on my team, but I manage most of the media. But in my mind, I know this is not true, but sometimes I think this, where if I'm not doing the media buying, where does my value lie, right? Because in theory, if you just bring in a media buyer, they could just take the offer and run it themselves, right? Like to a point. Mm-hmm. So what would be your advice for me?
Yeah. My advice would be, it's kind of like the same thing I was feeling, right? So it all starts with self, identifying why you feel that way. When you first felt that way, and it was probably something that happened early childhood, if that's happened to me a lot, right? And I got to go shift that and be clear with that and learn that, no, it's not benefiting me, right? This belief is not benefiting me, right? Many have benefited me to get to this point, but there comes a point in life where that belief starts holding me back instead of pushing me forward. So is that belief empowering me, or is it setting me, or is it holding me back, right? Because I mean, how many people do we know in the space that just fucking crush it? I mean, we just met someone doing 200K a day, and he has media buyers, right? He has media
26
buyers.
years old.
He gives everyone like the best fucking ad. Here, all media buyers, go see what you can do. Fuck, that's brilliant, right? Right? So where does the value really lie? I mean, and he understands media buys. So that's really powerful. So I mean, think about it. Instead of you trying to do it out yourself, now you have a team. Now you just multiply your media buying, right? And now you don't even have to just focus on one channel. Now you can have like, all right, let's have one guy do YouTube, let's have one have Google, you know, like let's fucking maximize every channel, right? Yeah. So that's what I would encourage you, you know, to do, yeah. And I mean, you're in the perfect space. I mean, look, you're meeting all these amazing people, all these media buyers, and like, you know, like you got the knowledge, you got the blueprint, you know. Yeah.
Why do you think so many people in our space? It almost seems like they're very disconnected from the self, like what you're saying, like the introspectiveness of thinking about how they're being, whether it's media buying or business development, but more so on like the tech side. Like, why do you think there's such a separation between like this introspection and thinking and looking at how they're doing what they're doing versus like maybe other types of industries where it's more introspective?
I mean, that's a really good question. But if I analyze it and digest it right now, I would say, I mean, our industry is very fast paced. It's money, like it's fucking parties. It's like, right? It's like, there's so much
Constant.
Right? There's a lot of ego in our industry, right? Like,
it's like a hurricane.
versus, you know, authentic, you know, being authentic and vulnerable and like looking inside. But at the end of the day, everything comes from reflecting from self, right? So it's being intentional. I think it's happening. I see it happening in our industry a lot more, right? These last few years.
It's more human.
Yeah, it's more human, and people are like more real, and like, and I like that. I like that a lot. And I think just in general, like worldwide, you know, like the Joe Dispenza, like the self-consciousness, the awareness, right? Like we're getting to a point where people are reflecting and awareness, and there's more consciousness, I believe, you know? But yeah, I mean, it all starts from, because look, like, I think one of the things I learned about myself is like, if I can keep my own word to myself, then anything is possible, right? And think about that. Like, if you can keep your word to your own self, and I say, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to commit to doing it, or it's already done. Like, I don't even have to commit because it's done. Then boom. I mean, that's very powerful. I mean, like, and anything is possible from that point of view. Yeah.
So how can people find you and learn more about what you're working on now, the event coming up?
Yeah, I'm on Telegram, you know, Godfather of Traffic, Instagram, Godfather of Traffic, Facebook. Yeah. Cool. You can reach out to me. Yeah.
Any other last words of advice, or even like a quote that you live by, or
quote that I live by? Yeah, I would say like, it's really easy to just go like really deep. I remember working like 12 hours days, grinding, and like just fucking not even want to leave the computer. Like just fucking work and wake up, look at the stats, get back in it, and just eat. And like, but man, I realized like life, like fucking being intentional about every day, maximizing each day, like living, enjoying each day. And being intentional about like, all right, what can I do today that's going to have the biggest impact? It doesn't have to be 20 things. It could be one thing that I'm like, all right, I got this thing done. Like, if I move the needle, right? I've delegated, like it's being handled, like, and I'm going to enjoy the day because like, fuck, you never know, you know, when it could be your last day. Like I didn't really start living until I realized I was dying, you know, like, and that's been like, for me, like, you know, like, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the freaking journey, you know?
So you've had more fun the last 3 years than you did 10 years before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much, man. We'll link back to everything, including your event, below this video, so make sure to check it out.
Awesome.